My boss humiliated me in front of everyone, so I destroyed his career. He thought he broke me. He thought one public humiliation was enough to keep me small, quiet, obedient. But what he didn't know? I don't break. I bide my time. And when the moment was right, I didn't just embarrass him back, I destroyed his entire career. And if you think that makes me a monster, maybe I am. But tell me, what would you have done? I'm 29 now. This all started 3 years ago when I was 26 and working as a project coordinator at a large logistics company. I wasn't some intern fresh out of school. I'd worked my way up. Long nights, missed birthdays, endless spreadsheets. I was competent, steady, reliable. But reliability doesn't get you noticed in a company like that. Loud voices do, big egos, people who take up space even when they don't deserve it. And nobody embodied that more than my boss, Greg. Greg was mid-40s, polished suits, fake charm, and a smile that made you feel like he was measuring your worth in dollars and seconds. He loved being the guy. The one everyone laughed with at happy hour, the one clients shook hands with, the one who walked into a room and sucked all the air out of it. And he loved control. He wasn't the kind of boss who lifted his team up. He was the kind who stood on top of them, using their shoulders as his ladder. And me? I was the perfect step. The turning point was a quarterly review meeting. The whole department gathered. Senior managers, directors, even the VP. I had spent weeks preparing a report. Detailed, precise, the kind of work I was proud of. Greg promised me I'd get to present it. He even said, "This is your chance. Don't screw it up." I stayed up nights rehearsing, polished every slide, practiced answers to possible questions. When the day came, my hands shook, but I was ready. Until Greg stood up, cleared his throat, and said, "Actually, I'll handle this presentation. She's not quite ready for prime time." Laughter. From my peers, from my seniors. And then he clicked through my slides, reading my words, presenting my analysis as if it was his brilliance. And when someone asked a question, one I'd prepared for, I opened my mouth to answer. He cut me off. "Don't worry about her. She's still learning." The room chuckled. Heat crawled up my neck. I wanted to sink through the floor. That humiliation burned itself into me. And I swore Greg would pay. At first, I thought about quitting, but why should I leave? Why should I sacrifice my career because of him? No, I wouldn't leave. I'd stay, and I'd make him regret underestimating me. So I played the long game. I smiled when he stole my credit. I nodded when he piled on extra work. I laughed at his jokes. But behind that mask, I started watching. Greg was sloppy. Arrogant people always are. He fudged numbers in reports to make himself look better. He billed client dinners that were really just nights out drinking. He flirted aggressively with interns and junior staff. And he ignored compliance protocols that everyone else had to follow. I took notes. I saved emails. I screenshot Slack messages. I became an archivist of his corruption. And the more I collected, the calmer I felt. Because I knew one day this pile would bury him. Funny thing is, I should have seen it sooner. Months before the humiliation, Greg had shown his colors. He once cornered me after a client dinner, glass of whiskey in hand, and said, "You're smart, but smart doesn't get you anywhere unless you know who to impress. Lucky for you, that's me." I laughed nervously, brushed it off. But later, I realized he meant it. He truly believed my career lived and died by his approval. And maybe back then, he was right. But not anymore. By the end of that year, I had enough dirt to sink him. But I didn't want to just expose him randomly. I wanted the timing to be perfect. I wanted the impact to be irreversible. So I waited. And the perfect storm arrived when Greg announced he was up for a promotion. Director of Operations. He bragged about it for weeks, dropped hints in meetings, told everyone it was basically a done deal. That's when I knew it was time. The night before his final promotion interview, I sent 3 anonymous packages. 1 to HR, 1 to compliance, and 1 to the VP himself. Inside, expense reports showing client dinners that matched bar receipts, screenshots of inappropriate messages to interns, emails where he altered numbers in quarterly reports, a USB drive with files he'd borrowed from a competitor, proof of data theft. It wasn't just one nail in the coffin, it was an entire arsenal. The next morning, the building buzzed. Greg walked in smug, confident. By noon, he was in a closed-door meeting with HR. By evening, he was gone. The fallout was glorious. Emails circulated, whispers flew, nobody knew who tipped off HR. But suddenly, everyone had a story about Greg. How he'd belittled them, how he'd crossed lines. The VP made a public statement about values and ethics. Greg's promotion vanished. His career at the company ended overnight. They said he resigned. But everyone knew. And me? I sat at my desk, typing calmly, sipping coffee. Invisible, untouchable. No one suspected me. At first, it was euphoric. Years of humiliation erased in a single strike. Greg was gone. I was free. But revenge is complicated. Sometimes, late at night, I remember the look on his face when he left the building with a box in his hands. The same look I must have had when he humiliated me. Small, powerless, broken. And I wonder, did I become him? Did I sink to his level? But then I remember the heat of that meeting, the laughter, the smirk on his face. And I think, no, he deserved it. If you think I'm cruel, maybe I am. But be honest, if your boss stole your work, humiliated you, made you feel worthless, wouldn't you have done the same? Months later, I heard through the grapevine. Greg tried to get another job, but word travels fast in our industry. No one wanted him. Last I checked, he was consulting freelance, barely keeping afloat. The golden boy, the loudmouth, the man who thought he was untouchable, now reduced to begging for scraps. And me? I got promoted. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. Because without Greg blocking me, people finally saw what I could do. And that, to me, was justice. Still with me? Cool. Because here's the truth. Sometimes I don't know if I regret it. Part of me misses the fire, the obsession of watching him, planning, waiting. It gave me purpose. Does that make me a monster or just human? It's been 3 years. Greg is gone. Forgotten by most. But me? I can't forget, because every time someone tries to cut me down in a meeting, every time I see arrogance, ego, cruelty, I smile because I know what they don't. I know that quiet people aren't weak, we're patient, we're dangerous. So yeah, my boss humiliated me in front of everyone, and I destroyed his career. And sometimes when I look in the mirror, I wonder, will I ever stop? Or was Greg just the first?